Boogeyman band coming round the bend. Is Boogeyman band. Is Boogeyman band.
Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Today's video is going to be talking about Sinister Creature Con. This is an annual horror con that I go to every year, with the exception of 2020, of course. This year it was back in its original location at the Scottish Rite Center in Sacramento. Last year it was in Roseville at the grounds, and it took place later. Usually, typically, especially since 2017, they've done 2 shows a year. Typically they're in June and October. The one in October of 2019 was the first to be canceled, and then tickets were going to be honored for June 2020, and of course everybody knows what happened in 2020, so there was no show in 2020. Last year it was in August 15th to be exact, at the grounds in Roseville, and it was a very strange con, but I was grateful for it because it was something I needed. I had a really hard 2021, just feeling isolated and detached from society. Just going to a con really felt great. I met some amazing people, and especially like director Tommy Lee Wallace, Stephen Jeffries, who played Evil Ed in Fright Night. Got to meet Don Shanks, who played Michael Myers in Halloween 5. Also ran into my buddy Kanan Becker, who does Ghost Pirate Entertainment. So yeah, I had a great time just being there, even though it was kind of a strange convention, because it was really, everything was kind of spread out. It was in a big auditorium. Social distancing, masks were required. So yeah, as much as I was appreciative of it, it was still just didn't feel like a normal con. This year, on the other hand, felt like old times. Now, the last time there was a con at Scottish Rite Center was in summer of 2019. That year, I met David Howard Thornton, who, of course, played Art the Clown. He was there again this year in full makeup. I didn't get to see him, but I know my buddy Danny. My buddy Danny was able to get pictures with him, and I'm anxious to see those when he publishes those. I had specific people I really wanted to meet. The guest announcement was made towards the end of 2021, and I was excited right out the gate. So first thing I'm going to do is showcase some of the items I picked up. I did pick up a couple things. I got some more posters, and of course, as everybody knows, I have so much room for posters. So, but they were pretty awesome, and they were hard to pass up. I will also talk about some awesome people that I met there, as well as the celebrities that I got autographs from. It was a great time. I got to see some friends that I haven't seen in many years. I got to meet some new friends. Really just felt, like, we haven't been through what we've been through in the last 3 years. Of course, there were some people wearing masks. There was some people that were keeping their distance, but it just felt like the cons of old for me. First thing I want to do is showcase the posters that I got. First one I got is a poster I don't have, and it's one of my favorite horror films of all time. And I got 3 of them at a vendor. It was 3 for $25, so a really excellent deal. But it's John Carpenter's The Fog, one of my favorite films of all time. This is most likely going to go probably in the Horror Zone lounge or my office. I don't have any wall space here or ceiling space in the Horror Zone, so yeah, this is a really excellent poster. I love that. And I remember when I first rented The Fog, I believe it was, I don't think I saw The Fog until probably 1988. I think it was like 1980. Yeah, I'm going to have to say 1988 because I rented it from the Warehouse. I don't know if people remember the Warehouse, but for the longest time before Blockbuster and anything around where I lived, there was mom and pop videos, and then the Warehouse opened up in 1987, summer of 1987, and it was right next to Round Table Pizza, where I would eventually work, beginning in 1994 when I was 20. I just remember my mom renting this for me because Jamie Lee Curtis was in it, and I was already a fan of Halloween. And she's like, oh, well, this is the same director, this is the same actress. And I remember watching this movie, and of course Adrienne Barbeau I knew from Creepshow. I remember watching this movie and being terrified, and I still think it's one of the scariest movies ever made. Just the effects, the effects with the pirates and the red eyes and everything, and that ending still gets me every time I watch it. But yeah, I love this film, I love this poster, and was a no-brainer picking that one up. And the next one I got, this poster was too great to pass up. It has it is required that you see Psycho from the very beginning. The next showing of Psycho begins and the box is blank. And it says the manager of this theater has been instructed at the risk of his life not to admit to the theater any persons after the picture starts. Any spurious attempts to enter by side doors, fire escapes, or ventilating shafts will be met by force. The entire objective of the extraordinary policy, of course, is to help you enjoy Psycho more. Alfred Hitchcock. So that was just a no-brainer to get this one. I absolutely love this. And the last one I got, even though I have a poster for this film, I don't have this poster. And this film will be celebrating its 40th anniversary this coming November the 10th, and that is, of course, the classic Creepshow. This poster is fantastic. I love this artwork. Creepshow remains one of my favorite movies of all time. I still remember my dad taking me to see it in the theater. The comic book with the art by Bernie Wrightstrom, and people can see I'm wearing a Creepshow shirt today. That amazing graphic novel, comic book, whatever you want to call it, came out the summer prior to this movie being released, and my mom bought it for me because she knew I liked Stephen King. So this was in summer of '82, so that means I would have been 8 years old. And I remember carrying this book around, and there's a lot of bad language in that. And I remember my grandmother being kind of appalled that my mom would buy me something like that with all that foul language in it. But yeah, my dad took me to see Creepshow. I believe we went and saw it in Concord at a theater that no longer exists. Unfortunately, it's a lamp store now, which is kind of weird. But I remember just being enthralled by this film. Fluffy will remain my favorite character, but Nathan Graham is a close second. Love this film. Can't believe we're hitting 40 years of when it was released, so I thought it was just the perfect timing to pick up this poster that I don't have. And now we are going to talk about just some shout outs that I'd like to give. First, I want to give a shout out to my buddies over at Forever Midnight. They're the best guys, and unfortunately Josh wasn't there, but Jeff, Brian, and Brian's son Dill were there. It was great to see all of them. I've never met Brian's son before. They were awesome, and it was just so great crossing paths with them. I haven't seen them. I haven't seen Jeff or Brian since the 2019 show, summer of 2019. Even though I've always followed their podcast and we speak online, it was just great seeing them all in person, and my wife got a great picture of all of us together. Just a total blast, and I cannot wait to reconnect with them again. If you don't already subscribe to Forever Midnight, please check out their page down below. Check out their Patreon. They're great. They're awesome. We'll always support them. Check them out. Link down below. Also, I want to talk about another podcast. Now, I mentioned this one briefly last year, after last year's Creature Con, because I met one of the people that run this. It's a podcast on YouTube. It's called Ear for Fear. I talked about it in last year's video. I met one of the people that does that podcast. His name is Morris. Awesome guy. He came up to me. He recognized me. He followed me on YouTube and was a fan of the stuff I do, which is always so flattering to me, because it always shocks me when people know who I am. And at this past con, so many people were saying hi to me. It was really it was weird. It was like, it's really surreal and fun. And it's such a great family environment when you're around horror fans, and people are really supportive. And it was great to see Morris again. It was funny. I was in line to meet Bill Moseley, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I was in line to meet Bill Moseley, and then I realized I needed a little more cash, so my wife kind of held my place. I ran to the ATM, and as I was leaving, I kind of saw him, and I said, he looks a little familiar, but last year he was wearing a mask when he handed me the sticker for the podcast. Came back, we started talking. It's like, because someone had come up behind me that was a friend of a friend, and they said my name out. they called me Boogeyman Ben, and just like, it was just sort of weird and surreal at the same time. But got to talking to Morris a little bit, and met one of the other members of the podcast, and his name was Rick, and we just had a really good dialogue going as we waited in line. Also, there was a guy behind me named Anthony who asked me if I had a YouTube channel, and told him what it was, and he subscribed to it, and we're friends now on Instagram. So just really cool people. And Rick, Morris, and I were just talking about different movies, about our channels. You know, just some of our experiences meeting, you know, other horror celebs, good and bad. And we talked about maybe collaborating in the future, which would be awesome. But it was just really great talking to both of them. It was really like talking to people that I've known my whole life. And so I will put a link down below to Ear for Fear. Check them out. I actually listened to a couple of their episodes today, one being on John Carpenter's The Thing, and it's fantastic. There's another member of the group named Darren who wasn't at the con, but it's 3 of them. I think their shows are a lot of fun. I will continue to listen to them and support them. I think they're great, and really was truly honored to have just a nice dialogue with them as we waited to meet Mr. Bill Moseley. So yeah, great people. Saw so many amazing people at the con. Ran into my friend Raina, my friend Charles. Saw my good friend Danny and his girlfriend. Just yeah, what a great day. And just like I said, it just really made me happy and really made me feel like, you know, I know everything isn't perfect in the world and things are still kind of fucked up, but it just made me feel like things are a little bit more normal, or getting a little bit more normal with regards to social settings and things like that. It just really made me happy, and my wife and I really had a great time. Yeah, just wanted to make sure I shouted out those amazing people that I met. Can't say enough great things about them. And yeah, it was a blast meeting everybody and seeing some old friends I haven't seen in a long time. With regards to the autographs, so the first one I'm going to talk about was the one I was excited about all of them, but last year I got the honor to meet Stephen Jeffries, who played Evil Ed in Fright Night. He couldn't have been a nicer gentleman, and you know, he meant everything to me when I was a kid. I loved him in movies like Heaven Help Us, Fraternity Vacation, At Close Range. He was in an episode of Amazing Stories in the Twilight Zone, an episode called The Elevator, which was written by Ray Bradbury, and he was in 976 Evil, and of course he played Evil Ed, which is one of my favorite horror characters of all time. And this year at the con, the amazing William Ragsdale, who played Charlie Brewster in both Fright Night and Fright Night Part 2, as well as Amanda Burse, who played Amy Peterson, were going to be there, and I got to meet both of them. Both of them signed my Twilight Time Blu-ray release of Fright Night. This came out, I'm going to say, in early 2015. I believe that's when I got it. I did a video on it and a review of the film at the same time. I also did a review that year of Fright Night Part 2. So just they signed their names, just William Ragsdale Charlie and Amanda Burse Amy, and both of them could not have been kinder. I was a little starstruck, especially with William Ragsdale, because not only was I a fan of him from the Fright Night films, but I also watched Herman's Head, which debuted in the early 90s, ran for about 4 years. There was fantastic people on that. You had Yeardley Smith, you had Hank Azaria. Yeah, I was a big fan of that show. I also saw Mannequin 2 on the Move. I know a lot of people might laugh about that, but I was a fan of the original Mannequin movie with Kim Cattrall and Andrew McCarthy. And when I saw Mannequin 2 came out, you know, I was anxious to watch it. I remember it came out on HBO around 1992, and Meshach Taylor did come back as Hollywood Montrose, the late Meshach Taylor. And for some reason, I liked Mannequin 2 a little bit more than the first one. I think it's because it's just that much more silly. And you had the amazing, beautiful Kristy Swanson in it, and that's the first thing I'd seen Deadly Friend, but that was like the first thing I ever took notice of her. And I was kind of starstruck and smitten with her ever since. And I just remember I thought that movie was funny. It also featured Terry Kaiser, who was known for Bernie from the Weekend at Bernie's film, the first one to come out at that point. But I remember telling him that Mr. Ragsdale, when I walked up to him, was talking to him about Fright Night, and then I saw the picture that he had at his table of Mannequin 2, and I said, I'm actually a bigger fan of Mannequin 2 on the Move than the first one. He said, well, the first step is admitting it. And he was just... it's hard for me sometimes to talk to people that I've idolized. The first time I saw Fright Night, I was 12 years old. It premiered on HBO summer of 1986, the year after it was released in theaters. And I was familiar with Stephen Jeffries and Amanda Burse because they had both been in Fraternity Vacation together, and I had seen that movie, even though I shouldn't have probably seen that movie at a very early age. And knew both of them, but, you know, I really loved William Ragsdale, and it was an honor talking to him, and very sweet person. He looks just like he did as a kid. I know he's older now, but what a sweet man. And I was really having a hard time forming sentences when I was talking to him for some reason. And it was the one part of my day where I was like, I wish I could have said more things to him that I wanted to, but I had a lot of fun, and I gave him the bow that I gave Tommy Lee Wallace when I met him last year. But it was a terrific honor meeting him, and yeah, that was probably one of the most starstruck moments I've had in my convention career. Amanda Burst was lovely. She was very sweet, just completely fun to talk to. Someone you feel like you've known. And I think I made her day when I said that the reason I watched Married with Children was because of her. And it really was. I wasn't interested in shows like that when I was a kid. I just really wasn't. It seemed a very mean-spirited show, and I really didn't like those kinds of shows when I was a kid. But I remember noticing that she was on it, and I knew her from Fraternity Vacation and Fright Night, and I'm like, well, I'm going to watch this now because Amy Peterson's in it. And she went like this and said, thank you. And maybe that really made her day. Maybe she was just being nice to me, but it really meant a lot to me. And just meeting these two amazing, beautiful people, I'm not going to get emotional, but just meeting them meant a lot to me. And yeah, that was it was a great day. It started out great. They were the first two people I met. So yeah, thank you both. Thank you. I doubt they'll ever see this, but thank you, Mr. Ragsdale, and thank you, Miss Burse. Thank you very much for your time. It really meant a lot to me. The next one I want to talk about is, I got to get out the big gun. So Crystal Lake Memories book. If people have been following my channel for a while, you guys know that I have every Friday the 13th actor or actress that I've met, I've had them sign this, with the exception of Derek Mears, because I'm a moron, because this book did not cover the remake. It only covered everything up through Freddy vs. Jason. But just to open it up, I can show you guys just how many signatures I have had in this. The last person to sign this, well, the last two people to sign this were Tom Matthews, who played Tommy in Jason Lives, and the late, great Steve Dash, who I met 6 months before his passing in 2018 at Sinister Creature Con. I met both of them there, and Steve Dash is literally one of my heroes, and you know, it was great to meet him and talk to him, and I was really, really heartbroken by his passing. But the amazing Ken Kersinger was at this con, and he was supposed to be at a con, the Sinister Creature Con in October of 2019, that ended up getting canceled. And a little side note that's really cute. So I posted on Instagram that I was going to be meeting Ken. I did like a little, it's during the beginning of the final fight between Freddy and Jason. I posted it on my Instagram page, and Sean Clark, my hero, posted, tell him I said hi. Got in line to meet Ken. He was completely sweet and gentle, very soft hands, very, very sweet, warm man, very tall man. Talking to him about the movie and just telling him that, you know, the movie meant a lot to me, and it does. I know it's not everybody's favorite film, but for me, I started hearing about Freddy vs. Jason when I was in high school. The original story is that, you know, they were trying to make that film in like 1988. But the whole thing was that Paramount didn't want to give up the rights to Jason, and New Line didn't want to give up the rights to Freddy, and both studios were kind of fighting over who would have distribution rights. So that's why it didn't really happen. Again, that's sort of a condensed version of why it didn't happen. But, you know, waiting for that film for so long. I mean, it was, you know, it wouldn't come out until I was almost 30 years old. And I know that, you know, Kane kind of got screwed over on playing Jason, but I think Ken did a great job. And he's such a nice guy. And I loved the way he signed my book. So he drew a little picture of Jason. Again, this book is very heavy, but I will show you guys. And I'll do a close-up of it, but he did Ken Kersinger. He drew a little Jason hockey mask, and he said Jason, Freddy vs. Jason, FVJ. Just sweet man. He thanked me for keeping the film alive, and was such a nice, warm man. And I was so starstruck talking to him that I walked away and said, fuck, I didn't tell him that Sean Clark said hi. So as my wife and I were looking at posters, the posters I just showed, I ran back to go talk to Ken real quick. Ran into a couple of friends at the same time. My friend Danny and his girlfriend were there, and I said hi to them real quick. And just said, wait a minute, I gotta go tell Ken something. And I ran up to Ken and just said, Sean Clark said to say hi to you. And he said, that's funny, he just texted me just now. So that was a lot of fun. I felt like I kind of composed myself a little bit more than when I was first at the table, but having that signature in here and meeting Ken was a terrific honor. So yes, thank you, Mr. Kersinger. Thank you so much for your time. The movie means everything to me, and your time means everything to me. The last person I met was Bill Moseley. They had added a couple of more people that I would have loved to have met. I really wanted to meet Ken Sagos. He was a last minute addition because a few people dropped out because of projects. So like Rachel True from The Craft, Scout Taylor Compton, William Forsythe from Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween, even though they've been in other projects. That's primarily what they were advertising them for, but didn't get to meet them, which was unfortunate, especially Scout Taylor Compton. I would love to have met her. But Bill Moseley I wanted to meet, but I ended up just getting a picture with him, and I got an autograph for my friend's husband. I just wanted to do that. He's a big fan. He's had some medical issues in the last couple of years, and he's a big fan of Rob Zombie films, and he's a big fan of Bill Moseley. So I said, you know what? I would like to get the autograph for him and take the picture with Bill Moseley. And Bill Moseley was awesome because he just had his table down, you know, amazing. He was handling the money. He had somebody there because, you know, each celebrity usually has somebody from the convention or like from their agency or whatever, sort of managing the money and everything like that, and sort of telling people what the prices are. There was a woman there that was sort of helping Bill, but it was mostly just to say like what the prices were and to take the pictures. Bill was handling the money. He was signing the pictures, had nice, just very gentle, sweet man. Like I said, I was talking to Morris and Rick from Ear of Fear during that time. I don't know what Morris's experience was like because I was talking to Rick when he was, Rick wasn't in the line to get an autograph. But, you know, he signed the picture for my friend Celeste, her husband. Steve, I had that signed for him, and then he came over to take the picture with me, and my wife was like, I'll take the picture. And so my wife took the picture, and I just told him, you know, what an awesome, you know, it was an honor meeting him, very nice guy. I've always been a fan of Bill Moseley, and he couldn't have been nicer, and it was a true honor meeting him. I was very much less tongue-tied talking to him than I was Ken, Amy, and William. Yeah, it was a blast. I had a great time. I can't wait for the fall show. I hope they announce it soon. I hope it's at the same venue, but I have to say, this venue might be outgrowing this con because I've never gone on a Saturday before. Typically in the past there was a pirate festival my wife and I would go to, and then we would go on Saturday, and then on the Sunday we would go to Sinister Creature Con. Because the pirate festival's been canceled for the last 3 years, we just went to Sinister Creature Con on Saturday because it's always Father's Day weekend, or typically, except for last year. But yeah, this year it was packed, and the costumes were amazing. Everybody was really into it. I think people really missed it. I think people really missed this, and I commend Brian and his crew and everybody involved with putting this show together. It was a blast. It was just something that I needed. I'm sure a lot of people needed it. We were living through a grim time. We went through a pandemic. Now we got wars and inflation and just all kinds of crap going on. And, it's times like this that make you appreciate everything and appreciate life and appreciate friends. And I'm just grateful for this con and grateful for the experiences that I had. And thank you to everyone who came up and said hi to me. It means everything to me. And I'm sorry I've been a little slow in getting back to comments, but that's all about to change. I have a really busy week coming up, but I promise you that the stuff I'm putting together, specifically the Salem's Lot stuff that I'm going to be posting, it's going to be really worth it, and it's something I'm really putting my heart into. And I just want to say thank you, and thank you for watching this video. And if you were at the con and you want to share some of your experiences, let me know down in the comment section below. Would love to hear from everyone. And as always, thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. I'll talk to you again real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always. Fellow Fright Fiends, just want to say thank you again for supporting Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone. If you're brand new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification so you're updated every time I drop a new video. I typically do this once or twice a week with new content. I've been doing this for over 11 years, and the horror genre is a passion of mine, and it really means a lot to me that I can share that passion with all of you guys. Thanks so much again for the support, and I'll talk to you again later. Take it easy, stay scared as always.